Hi everybody and welcome to Waggaz's Wings episode 7. In this episode we're going to look at attacking two-seater aircraft. Typically a two-seater aircraft will compose of the pilot and an observer, or what we would probably think of more as a gunner, typically when playing the game, particularly in multiplayer. There are some missions in some multiplayer servers where you can carry out things like artillery spotting, but very often you'll find that people will fly the two-seater as a combat aircraft in dogfight servers. So the main technique for taking on the two-seater is really the slash technique. So I'm going to start off first of all by showing you the wrong way and the way that I first started taking on two-seaters, and would always be slightly shocked and appalled that I would screw up and almost invariably get shot down whilst trying to take one on. So here's the wrong way. So I'm in a Pfalz D12 attacking a Bristol fighter, and you'll see I'm approaching the Bandit on co-altitude directly from behind, and I'm not really making any effort to come at him at an oblique angle. I'm not diving on him, I'm going about the same speed. So really I'm just sort of sitting there making myself a very, very easy target for the gunner. In multiplayer servers, the temptation often is to try and get in there quickly as possible and get the kill. But this is a surefire way to get yourself killed in return, or you may be lucky enough to shoot down the Bandit in the process. Never ever underestimate a two-seater aircraft. Even the great Baron Manfred von Richthofen, aka the Red Baron, was shot in the head, received a head wound whilst attacking an obsolete FE-2 pusher aircraft. So you see here I've actually just been wounded. I've done quite a lot of damage to the Bandit, but in the process I've been getting absolutely pasted myself. And it's really quite surprised that I haven't been killed or my engine hasn't received a vital hit in all this. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm simply trying to turn with him, I'm keeping the co-altitude, and I'm coming at him slowly or without coming at him with any extra speed, which makes me a very easy target. And there you go, finally he's avoided me again and ripped off my wings. So really I deserved that because I presented a very easy target for the enemy gunner. On this occasion, the two-seater actually survived. So after all that, after taking a pasting and getting myself killed, I didn't even shoot down the Bandit. So that was a very unsuccessful way of attacking the two-seater. As I say, this is the impatient and stupid way to attack a two-seater, presenting yourself as a very easy target. So now we're going to look at the correct way. Now you notice, first of all, the main difference is I've climbed above the Bandit before I've attacked. So I am diving on him, and I'm also coming at a slightly oblique angle. The faster you come at the gunner, the less time he has to turn his gun to face you and get a bead on you. You'll also notice, if you've been watching my previous videos, that I'm using energy fighting tactics. So what I'm not doing is, once I've dived on the Bandit, to immediately get into a turn. The first thing I do is to get into a climb, and possibly a turn with that climb. So I'm continually staying above the Bandit. So what I do, climb back above, reposition myself for a new attack from above, and then make the dive, hopefully at a kind of angle. And you see here, this Bristol fighter has actually started turning at me head on, but that's fine. So we can make head-on slashing attacks. His gunner, it doesn't really have a very good firing solution to the 12 o'clock. So if I come at him head on, that's actually, and head on from above, it presents me as a very, very difficult target for him, and I can take those angled shots there, firing with lead. So in the very first pass though, we did a lot of damage and his engine's already oiling up. Now I suppose if I wanted to play it safe now, I could just wait for the two-seater's engine to conk out. But I just want to show you a few more examples of these slashing attacks. So there we go, dive in again, head on. Not so good an aim there from me. But every time you hit them, you're doing a little bit more damage, you're chipping away, you're damaging a wing, you're knocking out a spar, you're hitting the engine, you're causing a fuel leak, and eventually it's going to take out that aircraft. Now, as I said, you could be patient and wait for the engine to stop running if it's already leaking oil, or you can just continue chipping away to speed up the process like I am now. But you see, every single time I'm coming in at a slight angle and with speed, and once I've made that attack, you see I will pull up and slowly circle around the Bandit. What I'm not doing, as I said before, is sitting on his tail. The way to get yourself killed whilst taking on a two-seater is sitting on their tail. You should also always try and keep yourself at least 300 meters away from the Bandit until you go in and make your shots. That's because the AI gunners can hit you pretty easily from 250 up to 300 meters, sometimes even much further away from that. And the same is true of human gunners. So as I said, you want to keep that distance, get above him, and then dive on him and get those fast attacks. Now at the end there, I probably took a little bit more of a risk than I probably should have done, but you'll find often with the AI gunners that they are far less accurate when they're making tight turns. I'm assuming this is simulating the kind of G-forces that the observers might have been under. Often when you see skilled two-seater pilots in multiplayer, they will just keep a nice straight course rather than getting into a steep turn like the pilot is here. So this was that was my first slashing attack that hit the engine, and here's the last one. Now see, even this where I'm presenting myself as a bit of an easier target, I'm still coming in at speed, I'm still coming out at quite a difficult angle. So that was the first example. Now the next example I'm going to show you is the third mission of the American campaign. When I first started flying on Rise of Flight, this mission used to keep me up at night. I tried it time and time again, and I'd be very, very frustrated by the fact that almost every time I got on the tail of a two-seater, he'd just hit my engine, I'd be out of it in seconds. So what did I do wrong the first time I played it, or the first 20, 30 times? When I saw the two-seater, I nosed directly towards him, head-on. Whereas what I should have been doing is climbing above him, gaining that altitude advantage, and then diving. So you see here, I had my first initial dive where I've done a lot of damage with the balloon guns. I've hit his engine, I've wounded the pilot, and I've wounded the observer, and I think he may also have a fuel leak. So again, you see, as I'm coming on to attack the Bandit, I'm not going straight at him. I'm going towards him horizontally, but I've also climbed above him vertically. So I've kept that vertical component, and that means that once I get close enough, and I'm happy I'm close enough to make that attack, I can turn that potential height energy into kinetic energy and speed, and use that speed to allow me to make those slashing attacks. So here I come in for another slashing attack. And there we go, once again I whack into his other wing. So again, slowly but surely we're chipping away at the Bandit. I've also, yes, of course, a fuel leak there. So let's just see a few moments later. I've circled around him again, gained another altitude advantage, and I'm diving in again. And this time I probably do get a little bit too close for comfort. I'm quite lucky here. The gunner does actually manage to hit me once or twice in the tail, but I've done enough damage to snap off his wing. So that is how to take out that pesky two-seater whilst flying the Newport. As I said, I took a bit of a risk there at the end I probably shouldn't have done, but I got away. So now the last example I'm going to show you, a little bonus example, was the favourite method of attack on two-seaters of a certain Albert Ball, one of the great British flying aces. Now what he liked to do was sneak up underneath the two-seaters, use his Lewis gun on the Foster mounting, and point it up at a nice sharp angle, so he could get right underneath the observer and the pilot, get within reaching distance, and then let him have it. Now unfortunately you can't really do this against the AI pilots, because the AI seems to have the force. And will always be ready for you. But here, against a human pilot, not so much. So I've got up nice and close, I've blown off his wings, and I've killed the observer and the pilot, a la Albert Ball. I thought you might want to see that again up close, because it's quite satisfying, blowing their parts. There we go. So bad luck there. I'm afraid you met Albert Ball on a good day. So that's a technique that you might get away with, and you might want to try in online multiplayer. And so here I am coming into land with our Sopwith Dolphin. So any of the aircraft that mount the Lewis guns, I believe, you can use that technique. That includes the early Newports, Newport 11, Newport 17, not the Newport 28, the SE5 and the Sopwith Dolphin, this aircraft here. I do know some pilots, a certain Winged Warrior, who likes to use the tilted Lewis gun during dogfights, but that will have to be another video for another time. So our key takeaways from today, the lessons that I have learnt the hard way are: when attacking two-seaters, get above them, get speed, attack with quick slashing attacks. Do not sit on their tail, otherwise they will kill you. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Salute, and see you all in the skies.